right. In this segment, we will be going through a little bit of my book called The Encounters. Author name Gabriel J Ludaway. I hope y'all enjoy. We're going to run through the first maybe 2 chapters, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to want to support or not. Click the like, subscribe, follow button, comment, share it with your people. This book is about the blend between the physical realm and the spiritual realm, intertwining in the things that I've seen, the things that I've experienced physically and spiritually. So I'll start off with the beginning. The Encounters, Chapter 1, the start of it all. In the beginning, it all started as a young child, knowing that something wasn't typical about my spirit. But I cannot exactly say that with confidence as a child. Why? Well, I wasn't on Earth long enough at the earlier stages of life to determine if my inner natural of a being differentiated from others in the population of humanity. I remember as a very young child, my heart was very pure for people, nature, and animals. As I was growing from an infant into a toddler, I started to realize I had a unique characteristic inside of me. It was a feeling of great compassion, kindness, and care for things I loved. Not in the sense of the way you're supposed to feel about things you love. It was much deeper than a shallow version of said energy. I started to notice when a childhood dog of ours that was problematic with the family found peace in me for some reason. The dog was a Chow Chow, which we had this breed of dog for most of my life. The dog will have episodes of disobedience and do some crazy things, as well as react viciously towards some family off and on. For some reason, the dog was never aggressive towards me at all. Lord knows why my parents kept that dog as long as they had it. Moving forward, I recall my mother being emotionally invested in Minister Louis Farrakhan, leader of the Nation of Islam. Here. At 6 years old, she would listen to VHS tapes of his speeches, and although I was not invested and wanted to hear about those things, in place of his character, I found myself sitting and watching longer than I thought I'd be interested in doing at that age. There was a reason for this. He had a way of being very passionate about his words. I can clearly see and hear that he believed to his core in everything he stated and spoke to the people who were in the crowd and around him. I was also thinking, wow, this is a very powerful, original man of humanity. I sat and heard him out, and shouted reminded me of one of like a church presence. His forehead was sweat when he got worked up, and he would not be scared to voice his opinion on the world issues in the community of ancient history. The topics on racial inequality, which I wasn't too aware of or even knew actually existed at the time. I could tell that he cared about people of a specific culture, but he was not against other races. In telling a story, he gave his opinion, speaking highly of what he called the name Allah pretty often. Whatever it was that was spilling from the man's soul was leaving me stuck Indian style in my mother's bedroom, paying attention to what he was saying. In my spirit, I felt a passion for people with a kindness in my heart. I was not typically angry about much of anything. I wasn't a problematic child who was out of control and didn't know how to act. I remember myself being quiet, the calm soul at an early age. Around this time, a homeless man was living in the alley across from my mother's house that was. It was my first experience seeing such a thing. One day, something made me feel a deep empathy for this man. I couldn't fathom someone sleeping outside, dressed how he was dressed at the time. I found a big cardboard box and started trying to construct a cardboard home for the man. My mother asked me what I was doing, and I told her, trying to make the man a home. He's over there homeless. I had taken him a bag of canned foods earlier that day. In the midst of the person I was, I noticed God created me with a very high empathetic spirit. I wasn't sure what these feelings were exactly, but I had a high regard for humanity as a child as well for animals. At the age of 6 years young, I fell in love with music. Something about piano keys would attract my mental along with my ears. I was playing music on the piano at a lesson teaching business where I had an unthinkable happen to me. As I was playing the piano, the elder lady who was teaching me wasn't the greatest person of character. I remember asking to go use the restroom, and she told me no. She was taking my fingers, and pushing them roughly on the keys to learn how to play, reading music notes from a book. I could not understand notes by reading them at all. The woman had me so scared to move, I even urinated in my clothing. She grabbed a large trash bag, cut armholes in it, and a hole for my head, and put it on me, forcing me to sit back down and continue playing. I remember feeling very upset inside, and I no longer wanted to play anymore. I told my mother when she picked me up what happened, and of course all hell broke loose, and the teacher was confronted, and I no longer played there anymore after that. I had done recital on the stage in front of people at that age, so my fear of being in front of people to perform was non-existent. I love music quite a bit. However, I enjoy playing music and chords freely by ear instead of reading the notes. One second. I felt in that moment in time I was blessed to be a creative being. Now hold on to that thought for a second. Chapter 2. The Encounters. Abnormal Sightings. One second. Get in there. Chapter 2. Abnormal Sightings. This is where I discuss my first encounter seeing something very abnormal to me around this age of 7, maybe 8 years old. I was raised in a historic family home built many years ago in the Old Town East area of the city and state of Columbus, Ohio. On one specific night, I was awakened by a very strange, almost silent but faint noise, accompanied by very bright lighting seemingly switching colors in rotation. The light of it seemed to be directly outside of my window. I was actually very nervous at the time, but intrigued to find out what it was. As I went to the window, it was so bright that I could not see anything physically. So I headed downstairs to the living room for the fact the grass on the side of my home I can see clearly from the window on the first floor. By the time I got downstairs to take a closer look, the light was gone, and so was whatever it was causing that light effect that I was witnessing. Left me very confused, but I was fully aware of what a UFO was and how they operate from watching certain things on television. At this time, it was around 3 or 4 in the morning, so no one else was awake. I wanted to wake someone up, but I was in shock and felt like they would think I was crazy and just had a dream. Well, our grass was perfectly green the day before, It was the middle of the summertime season. That morning when I went outside, there was a perfectly shaped circle of hay-colored dead grass laid down in circular dimension form. My mother or no one else knew where it came from. It left everyone speechless and wondering what happened. I didn't mention it because I was so young and felt like no one will believe me. As an adult, I just recently had the conversation with my father about it, and he recalled seeing the dead patch of grass, as well as being clueless of how it got there when he went off to work. I mentioned to him what I seen at the time it happened, and being that it has now experienced some things of his own, being that he has now experienced some things of his own, he doesn't deny that it's possibly was. He doesn't deny that it's possibly what it was that left the crop circle in the yard, which is not even that much space of yard to begin with. That was my first odd encounter with something I had absolutely no explanation, had no absolute explanation for. I'm keeping these stories in a close to exact timeline estimation that I can think of most accurately. It won't be exact, but around the time these events occurred, moving along, a couple years passed, bringing upon another more stunning encounter you won't believe me. Or you won't believe maybe. Me and a group of family members were walking late night to a KFC restaurant. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but they used to have barbecue chicken wing dings in a box. They were so much sauce on them. There was so much sauce on them. They were so good you almost wanted to chew on the parchment paper that they had inside the box. They were so good I would overly eat those things. I occasionally, as we were walking through the alley headed to KFC, we saw something glowing, from what I can recall. Let me see, where was I at? Okay, we saw something glowing, from what I can recall. There was a cooking grill next to a building, and this fluorescent light, blue, glowing object was right behind it. We were all staring because it looked like a small person. We couldn't tell, so we wanted to keep walking. I was in shock, so I was standing there staring at whatever it was. The unthinkable happened, and it actually moved and leaned to the side as if it were looking around the corner from behind the grill. Everyone took off running, and they were older than me, so I was getting left behind, nervous as can be. I believe that same exact day when we got home, another situation occurred that was unbelievable, which made this day even more crazy. I could have these two chain events mistaken, but I'm almost certain these events happened simultaneously. My oldest brother was dating a woman that at the time we had no idea who she was exactly. Only he did, if I'm correct. The woman was trying to call him. He gave the phone to one of our relatives. He told them to tell her that he was not home. She was driving around the house for a little over 5 minutes around this time. She was in her car talking, telling my cousin he was lying about my brother not being there. He proceeded to tell her he wasn't there. We were all sitting on the third floor. It was a 4-story home. We were in the attic part of the childhood home I was raised in, so there's no way she could possibly see us at this moment. The woman started naming everyone, the room, and telling them where they were sitting in the attic. Creepy. Everyone was mind blown, and my cousin told him he needs to go figure that out and talk to her. I'm not sure what exactly took place after that. I was still very young. My brother was in the army, and he brought back these suckers that had insects in the center of them. It was the grossest thing I ever seen at the time. I did not eat one of them, of course. The few chain of life events happened, and I was almost certain there was an incredible bit of things to witness as such a child. The craziest part about all of it is this is only start of what I have seen over the course of my existence on Earth. I was born with 6 fingers, by the way. I'll leave it at that and not elaborate. However, the extra finger was removed at birth, even though it's still visible that I had it. That's neither here nor there. I just wanted to mention it for whatever reason. I, at this point, knew that there was something different about my existence to be experiencing these type of things. My mother's carpet and wallpaper in her upper home resembled the look of the first Freddy Krueger movie. Very eerie looking design pattern on both of these things. Maybe a year or two later, a group of us were walking up to the 3rd floor, which was a hangout spot, and a big shadow that looked like a silhouette of Christ arose on the wall slowly, and we all got freaked out and ran back downstairs. That was quite hilarious now that I think about it. After we got up out that house, the home was so old there was no telling what all went on in there before my mother was raised in the home, before we were all born. Chapter 3, Ghosts in the Graveyard. Moving forward, there was a home next door to us that was very similar to my mother's home in size and look. We spoke to the neighbors and were cool with them for the most part. We were not very close with them actually, but we did speak casually to them. A girl I cannot pinpoint the name of exactly had came to visit her sister that resided in that home. Not sure how she ended up talking to my second oldest brother, to be honest, but she liked him a lot. She gave him a card. I think it was July. There was a garage we used to sit on top of to watch the fireworks from downtown, red, white, and boom. Display of the 4th of the month. My brother and my cousins around our age, along with my sister, were at our house just talking and chilling as usual. The girl asked, would we like to play a game similar to hide and go seek? It was called Ghosts in the Graveyard. In this game, you play hide and go seek in the dark. Mind you, our houses are very big old homes. Made from brick. They had those basements that were so old you would think someone was trying to get you every time you came up the basement stairs, to the point you would almost rush to get to the top of the stairs and close the door, like on the movie Home Alone when Kevin got scared of the heater. Normally, all culture or people do not participate in these kind of activities, but we decided to involve ourselves in the extravaganza. Before I tell you more, picture this. The girl that asked us to play the game is Caucasian, wearing a red dog beer pin on her shirt, where the eyes of the dog blinking red consistently like the picture you see below. Hold on. As we start the game, the couch in the second living room was the home base. If I can briefly describe the layout of the 1st floor, as soon as you walk in the door of the house, you see the steps leading up to the 2nd floor. To the left of those steps, there's a front room. After that, the next thing you come to is the main living room. After that, the dining room, and then the kitchen. Upon entry to the walkway of the kitchen, there were spiral stairs and a door leading to the 2nd floor in the back part of the house. So you can get up and downstairs either way. The hallway on both ends of the 2nd floor leads to a spiral stairway going up to the 3rd floor. It's pretty much a 1-bedroom flat apartment look on the 3rd floor with the open area to the top right of the stairs. To the left, a hallway that leads into an actual bedroom on the 3rd floor, just to try to give you a visual. So the game starts. Lights go out. Everyone goes and hides, and the girl who introduced us to the game starts counting. Me and my second oldest brother run up to the third floor to hide. As the girl is searching for us, there's about 5 of us playing the game. She comes up third floor stairs, and she makes the left to head into the room on the third floor. Me and my brother run out the cubby hole to the right that she passed up. We take off down the stairs. I go down the back stairs of the house, and he goes down the front stairs of the house because you can get to home base from both ways. So, there's no way she could have gotten in front of either one of us to get downstairs before each of us did. Somehow, by the time he got to the bottom of the stairs, she was standing there, and her red dog pen blinking, which absolutely impossible to do by all means. Everyone else was already at base before me and my brother ran downstairs. With that being said, that's where the game ended. We turned on the lights as the Nero-melanated beings that we are, for the simple fact we don't play that creepy stuff at all. I don't know exactly how we broke the news that we're not playing anymore, but we must have did it in a way she wasn't too offended. We for sure took notes that she must have done some devilish teleportation for her to be able to do what she had done. It was literally impossible for that to happen. We stayed cool with her, but eventually my brother parted ways from her. She ended up traveling back to whatever state and city she was from. That by far was also one of the wildest moments to me, along with some others that my family had seen. I can tell you one thing for sure, and 2 things for certain. That isn't a game that we will ever indulge in anymore. Chapter 4. Church like you never seen before. This is where we end. If you would like to read the rest of my book called The Encounters, for the rest of the chapters, please click on the link in my bio or the link at the bottom of this video description. It can be purchased right now on ebook, soon to be able to be purchased on paperback. I appreciate y'all for spending this time with me. I appreciate y'all for listening. Trust me, the rest of this book is just more interesting as the chapters go. Thank you. I appreciate you all for being here. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, as I may do maybe 2 more chapters in my next video. Maybe. Depends on the support. I start getting some support, I'll run through maybe 2 more chapters. But then the rest, I want you guys to actually enjoy the book on your own and leave some comments about it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you all. And I hope I see you on the encounters.